Hello viewers, today I want to discuss one important Madras High Court judgment. The petitioner was Messrs. D.Y. Beathel Enterprise. This judgment is in favor of the taxpayer in relation to availing input tax credit. Okay, so I've divided this into two parts. First part, I will explain you what is section 16.2 clause C in the CGST Act. And second part, I will explain you what was held in this Madras High Court judgment D.Y. Beathel Enterprise. Okay, example. Say from this supplier, I've either purchased goods or service of 10 lakh plus 18% GST. Now, as a recipient, I paid consideration of rupees 10 lakh, net value of 10 lakh I paid to the supplier. Also, the applicable GST of 1 lakh 80, that also I paid to the supplier. So recipient has paid the GST to the supplier. Now, you know what happened? This supplier, maybe he became bankrupt or he did fraud. Whatever GST recipient paid to him, he never paid the GST to the government. So government never earned the GST revenue of 1 lakh 80 for the fault of the supplier. It was supplier's fault. Supplier did not pay. Recipient has correctly paid. Am I right? Now, if you carefully see section 16.2 clause C, what it says. If the supplier does not pay GST to the government of India, then the recipient cannot avail input tax credit. So if recipient has correctly paid GST, still he cannot avail ITC. And if he has already availed, then his input tax credit shall be reversed. This is held in 16.2. Okay, now all the taxpayers are very angry. Obviously, that recipient, he has correctly paid GST to the government, sorry, to the supplier, right? But the supplier, it was fault of the supplier. He did not pay GST to the government. Still, as per section 16.2c, the recipient's ITC shall be reversed. This is incorrect. There is double burden on the recipient of GST. Correct? Now, let me explain to you section 16.2c. This is already being challenged in many high courts. Many people have opposed this section. And there was VAT era, in pre-GST era, there was one Supreme Court judgment. You should read this. KK Industries Limited. You know what it was held? What it was held in that judgment? That value added tax cannot be recovered from the recipient for the fault of the supplier. So if recipient has paid VAT to the supplier, supplier has not paid VAT to the government, you should catch the supplier, not the recipient. The input tax credit of VAT shall not be reversed in the hands of the recipient. This was held in KK Industries Limited. This should have been continued in GST. Am I right? Now, part 2, D.Y. Beathel Enterprise. What this Madras High Court judgment says, listen carefully. D.Y. Beathel, it was a recipient. It purchased goods from Charles, the supplier. Okay, now the recipient, D.Y. Beathel, has correctly paid GST to the supplier. Recipient has done its part. Now, Charles, whatever GST it collected, it did not pay the GST to the government. So you know what happened? The GST officer did not take any action against the Charles. The supplier did not pay. The GST officer didn't do anything with the Charles. He is not responsible. What GST officer did? They sent show cause notice to the recipient. They are DY Bethel. They sent show cause notice demanding consideration. They passed the order seeking GST along with interest. What is this? So now the recipient, the it was agreed by the order. Obviously, it was agreed by the order. They filed a petition. Where? In Madras High Court. Against this order, they filed a petition in Madras High Court. Now, thankfully, what Madras High Court held? Madras High Court held that the recipient, supplier has charged GST, collected GST, and recipient has paid GST to the supplier. Right? GST officer should have taken action against supplier. They did not take any action against supplier. Right? Strict action should have been initiated against whom? First, it should have been initiated against supplier. They did not take any action against supplier. Madras High Court held it squashed the impugned order. जो ऑर्डर था वो स्क्वाश कर दिया. And for non-examination of the seller in an inquiry, GST officer did not examine the seller. Okay, non-initiation of the recovery proceeding against the supplier, this order was squashed. So now what is held because of this Madras High Court? The GST ITC cannot be demanded from the recipient for the fault or the failure of the supplier. So this case, we all are going to go through it very soon. This GST 2A, 2B reconciliation, many such cases are going to come. So I request all the taxpayer to refer to this judgment, take the benefit of it, and use it for the favor. Okay, so stay tuned for to my YouTube channel. I will keep updating such high court judgments along with latest GST updates. Thank you so much, each and every. Goodbye.